would say in the insurance industry in general, what we're seeing right now is a very large, well-tenured population that's approaching retirement. I think you're seeing that across the boomer generation and all industry businesses. But for us, we're losing a lot of archival knowledge with these retirements. And I think you have a generation that's motivated a little bit differently.
Hello, and welcome to the Resilient Leaders Podcast, a podcast where we navigate challenging currents in growth and change. My guest today is April Willers. She's the Chief Operating Officer of Hermes Law and also the Chief Operating Officer at ClaimDeck, both based out of Dallas, Texas. She's lived in 5 countries and 5 states, and she has a love for diverse cultures and foreign languages. April, a pleasure to meet you. Can you please tell me how fluent are you in Korean?
Not at all. And nice to meet you as well.
Thank you. Nice to meet you. So that means that this takeout menu I have, you're not going to be able to help me with. I'll have to work somewhere else on that.
Exactly.
And can you tell us a little about what ClaimDeck is that you're the Chief Operating Officer?
Absolutely. So it is a claims litigation platform, brings the carrier together with the law firm that's handling the claim, puts all communication, documents, all anecdotal exchanges, everything important about the file, puts it in one secure place and allows the case to move forward much quicker than wrangling all kinds of documents, emails, and mediums of communication.
So unlike most people in the world, you're actually trying to help lawyers here.
We are. We're actually trying to help the common person have a reduced premium.
Okay, now you're talking our music, right? You haven't. It's funny how that happens when you ask the person a question, what they do, and you're not a software business, but you're helping reduce insurance costs.
Exactly. And running a law firm, right? Who wants to reduce their own bills? But I'm telling you, we're there to reduce leakage in the entire industry.
Absolutely right. It's funny how people interpret those. I read a story recently that John F. Kennedy in 1962 went to NASA for a tour, and he ran into a custodian, and he asked, what's your job? And the custodian said, I'm doing my part to help put a man on the moon.
Love it.
And it's
so
very
true.
different. That's exactly the way you just described yours. You're not doing one thing, but you're part of a bigger cause.
Yes, so true. The ripple effect.
Yeah, absolutely right. And so please help me. How does the end user benefit from ClaimDeck?
The end user in this case is really the adjuster, so the person handling the claim. What it does for them is allows them to move a claim forward much quicker, not having, again, to look for updates on the reports, look for anything that might drive the budget up and increase the cost of the total claim. So what it really does is allow for a pickup in time, which therefore in any sort of case, they don't get better with age. Picking up time, saving time, reduces legal spend, reduces the need to pay, pulls the parties together for quicker resolution. So it really kind of benefits all involved from a speed and cost perspective. For our tech stack at the law firm, I run the controlling and people ops department. So really, I think just attracting and retaining great talent, ensuring that talent is challenged and professionally developed.
How do you generate or create the metrics for what you're calling best in class? So how do you define that to your people, to your clients?
There's 3 key metrics across both of our companies, and they are case life, so days of life. Industry average can be around 700 days. We push for just right under a year, between 270 and low 300 days for a matter to be open. So if you think about a tree falling on your house, the faster you can have those types of claims taken care of. And then legal spend. So how much is the carrier having to spend on the law firm actually defending that matter and ensuring that the insured is taken care of? And then total indemnity. So cost of the expense being paid out that the premium has covered, as well as legal spend. So just total indemnity, legal spend, and case life.
How long did it take you to develop those 3 specific metrics, or at least now to hone them down to what you're saying, going from 700 days average to inside of a year for the first one?
I think that that's where the leakage sits in the industry today. When you look at 2 main concerns, right? How long is it taking for an insured who's been paying premium for X months to get taken care of. Think car wreck, think property damage, anything. And then, oh my gosh, this is so expensive. Why does my premium when I go to renew my homeowner's insurance continue to go up?
So, how do you communicate these best in class three metrics that you have? I can understand exactly how you communicate it to your prospective clients.
Mm-hmm.
How do you communicate it to your in house team to help them aspire to meeting those for your clients?
Enter claim deck, right? So here's a platform that tracks every movement on the case, every deliverable, every piece of contact.
Mhm.
At any given moment in time, I can see how long the case has been open. I can see how much legal spend there's been, and I can see all of these 50 plus different data points and fields that tell me how this case is moving along. For the law firm, we measure performance based on the data and the insights coming in the platform that we use as our sole method of delivery for case management. And that's what you're seeing other carriers do, is it measures efficiencies in their law firms on their panel. And it also measures efficiencies in behavior and leadership from their adjuster teams and moving a case to closure.
Sure, sure. You make insurance talk so exciting here.
So exciting. Yeah.
It doesn't feel like root canal. Thank you very much, April.
A little less painful. You don't need Novocaine.
That's right. That's right. Just tie it to the door and pull and yank.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, one of the challenges that you described you have is you work hard to recruit and retain your employees. Why is that a challenge for you? What makes it challenging?
Well, I would say in the insurance industry in general, what we're seeing right now is a very large, well-tenured population that's approaching retirement. I think you're seeing that across the boomer generation and all industry businesses. But for us, we're losing a lot of archival knowledge with these retirements. And I think you have a generation that's motivated a little bit differently, may have studied something different in school. And I'll tell you, at every conference I attend throughout the year, the joke is I did not wake up and study to be an insurance person, which I'm not. But when you're talking to adjusters, right, that's typically not their number one choice in career, but they end up in it and they end up staying 30, 40 years.
Sure.
To
Well,
find, go ahead.
no, I was going to say, you're a case in point. You went to University of Texas, hook 'em horns, and studied Spanish and literature.
Yep, exactly. Language and then MBA, and here I am, law firm and tech, right? And so it's a journey and usually some series of experience that gets folks into this industry. And so when I'm mentoring younger carrier side teams, the concern in the industry is that gap and that transfer of knowledge. What was a paper-driven business, think, clipboard, truck pulls up, gets out at a, site of a disaster, and they're literally taking photos and reports. Heavily tech-driven now, Google Earth, electronic reporting. So there's a whole body of working knowledge that's kind of going to vanish with a lot of these retiring folks. And so to get, youthful, high educated, high energy, of all ages, folks that want to do this work, both on the law firm side, but also carrier side, is an industry challenge for everyone to attract, retain, continue to challenge and develop, and transfer that knowledge before we lose, some of them are more veteran and highly specialized expertise in the field.
Sure. As baby boomers go out, are you hiring Gen X? Are you hiring millennials? Are you hiring Gen Z? Which one comes to the forefront for your business, for your industry?
I will tell you, I am proud to say we hire all of them. Our last couple hires at the law firm have been 20 plus year practicing attorneys in trial and insurance defense. Two of my last hires on the tech platform have been from both of the generations and end caps of what you just mentioned. So for us, we start with, I think, character, experience, and values alignment.
Sure. How do you measure character when you're going through the interview?
A lot of situational and behavioral interview questions, things around, what would you do in these situations? What gets you up in the morning? I think resumes speak for themselves on what you've accomplished. I think transcripts do the same. I think degrees and educational proof do the same things. We're looking for more, do I want to work with this person? What do they bring to the table? How do they think about things? How do they problem solve? Looking for humility. And in both of our companies, looking for an eagerness to learn and collaborate, but also someone that's willing to give back and cares about the more broader community.
Sure. Do you find that generationally people are educated different? In my generation, we were educated in school to think very individually. My grades, I have to work on my grades. And people that are coming out of school now, call them the Gen Z, are really taught to work more in groups.
Hmm.
When you're interviewing, do you find that difference and how does it help you or does it hurt you with your interview process?
I think that caring about the team's performance is hugely important, but I also need to see a high sense of accountability. And so, from a leadership perspective, I don't think anyone on my team fails without me failing.
Mhm.
Whether it's recognizing early they can't do the job, or recognizing early they have some obstacles, or just identifying can't do it, don't want to do it, don't know how to do it, those types of behaviors. So I think the team mentality comes into play when you hold yourself accountable, but you also look to your teammates to lift them and help them do a better job. And I think those are the types of things to talk about in an interview. You get a sense quite a bit of how well someone will work with others, but also how much of themselves they'll give to the job.
Sure. Have you found that one group or one subset is more group oriented as you're speaking seeking or more individually oriented or just there's no statistical approach to that?
I haven't. I have found that some of the candidates coming out of school more recently tend to move very fast and be very motivated by quantity of projects they can complete.
Oh,
So
okay.
that's an interesting challenge for us to keep their plate full of meaningful projects that they can knock out. And sometimes it might be a little different conversation when you want them to slow down and think more broadly and maybe don't have a pressing due date or something like that. I have found they tend to be accomplishment and completion oriented.
Scoreboard oriented.
Potentially, yeah, at least quantity, and not at the sake of quality, but definitely moving forward, knocking stuff out. Let's go. More time sensitive.
Yeah. That's interesting. It almost would say they like checklists better.
Hmm.
They can
Hmm.
just go boom, 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 boom.
Yeah, I would say that you see that in the way they manage their time during the day as well.
Mm.
Strong confidence around time boundaries, time management. I'd say a lot of us that came up in a different environment, right, wrong, or indifferent, probably worked ourselves to death many phases of our career. And I would say the younger generation has better guardrails around quality of life, which aligns great with our culture. We tend to do that for our team members as well. But, in the past, I would say that was something some companies would just take advantage of.
Sure. How much time do you spend or your employees spend on personal development to get more into your culture as you've defined it? I love that story. As what tribal knowledge. I don't hear that phrase as often as I like. That was a great
Hmm.
one. So how much time do you spend with that level of training?
I would say several deliberate hours a quarter, a full business day's worth of hours, probably every 6 to 8 weeks.
I see.
Especially at the leadership level in the law firm, because the CLEs required of an attorney do quite a bit of that development,
Right.
and they're all required to hit those state requirements. On the tech side, we do full day retreats every quarter with the entire team. And those are typically about collaboration, personal goals, commitments to each other. Both companies, we do a lot of mindful movement, wellness, work-life balance, time together sessions, how to healthy stretch when you're sitting at a desk all day. We do a lot of deliberate planning and devotion of time and content through a third party professional to help us show that we really care, I think, about the health all the way through, the mental health and the physical health.
That's an interesting component of the culture, right? It feels like over the last 10 or 15 years that there has been more focus on mental health, well-being, and the like, as opposed to just the nuts and bolts. I would have sent my IT team. I used to always say, I want you away from the office for a week. Go to a
Hmm.
class, go to a seminar, go to something. But back then I wouldn't have said so much, how does that make you feel? How does that
Right.
affect you personally? It's a very different type of training now for this
Yeah.
environment.
Yeah. And I think when asking how someone feels, I want them to be honest. And if something missed the target, I want them to be mad. It's
Sure.
okay to be mad. But are we mad that together we weren't able to pull it off? Are we mad that we didn't put it all on the table? Are we mad? I think just the accountability and humility that comes with those emotions and that dialogue is really important. It's a really trusted conversation to help push the individual forward as well as the organization.
Sure. Gallup just released their 2024 statistic about employee engagement and found that employee engagement or disengagement would be at 17%, meaning 83% engaged, 17% of the, and it's getting higher, meaning disengagement. And so, how do you and your firm and your role specifically try to maintain or improve employee engagement?
I mean, a couple of real easy things are from a social and kind of collaborative perspective that we're doing things that matter to the team that works with us.
Hmm.
We're not doing things that no one has an interest in. We're not planning outings that no one has an interest in. So we're constantly asking for what I just call crowdsourced ideas for team activity, whether it's training content or just how we spend our time. I also think really listening to how we get better, right? And not thinking we have all the answers. I mean, I hope with my years of experience, I'm bringing to the table something to at least throw on the wall and have them pick apart and say it would be better if we had more of this, a little less of this. When results are there, it's a lot easier to listen and try new things around how we get there together. But I think in general, just meeting your team where they are and genuinely caring about what gets them up in the morning. I try to really all the way through both organizations, no matter what the reporting structure looks like, to understand why people show up in the morning. It's okay if it's just for a paycheck, but it's also great if it's other, I love doing great work. I love to be challenged. I love that every file we touch, something goes to our charitable foundation. I feel like I'm part of that. I think those things are important to understand. And you can meet all of those employees where they are and deliver to all of them on what's important and still push the company forward.
Sure. What methods do you use to listen to your employees? And do they feel that they have the ability to speak freely about it?
I really hope so. I think you only get one chance to really listen. I think you can tell someone that you're approachable, that you have an open door, that you'll listen, nothing's off limits. I think you can only say that one time. I tell my kids, you only get one chance to lie, and then you're a liar. It doesn't mean you're going to lie the rest of your life, but I can't ever say that you never lied to me. So I think that you get one chance when you tell somebody you really want to hear how they feel. You get one chance to absorb that, no matter how painful or hurtful or disappointing you are that you let them down or that they don't like what you thought was a great idea. And it's how you react to that, right? And then they can be coached on delivery. They can be coached on, God, that was really harsh and actually that wasn't fair. But I can't tell you that I'm here to listen to you. If I don't like what you told me, I just come right back at you and defend it. So to me, that is something I've always shown up and done all the way through, in retail, hourly employees showing up to ask how they felt about how unloading the truck went that morning, all the way into what peer level, how they feel about certain changes that came out from the company and how we're going to lead our teams through them. I shouldn't ask if I don't want to hear the answer.
One would think, right? Other than you're posing, right? Because
Right,
you're
right.
supposed to be that person. Oh, I have an open door policy, but I snarl every time somebody walks in the door, right? You can say the words, and the words and music have to match up.
Yes, yes. And there was a phase of my career where I found out I didn't seem available. Like, but
Mhm.
you're always so busy and I don't want to bother you. And I said, that's fine. I want you to bother me. I am super busy, but bother me. And so I worked really hard at, okay, what part of my day doesn't look like you can grab me or shoot me a text or shoot me an email? I don't want to do that. Yes, I'm busy. And I may have to say, hey, what is it? Can we get end of day? But maybe I won't. And I own making that availability seem genuine. And then I own finding the time when I say I will.
Sure. April, I ran into a very similar problem. If you know my background, I'm chief financial officer of a $250 million energy services company, and the I had at one feedback session about Trent, you're just too busy to talk to us, and I've always prided myself. Oh, you can always come. I changed my philosophy about that to setting points where I was getting up and going out into their environment. and I would do that more. And I found that that perception then changed,
Yep.
because it didn't feel like they had to come to the principal's office as much as I was doing a simple management by walking around. It's different
Yes.
virtually, but
Well, and we're physically in the offices, but I'll tell you the flip side to that because I have seen that chapter, and then you get the, oh God, here they come again. They're coming around. They don't really care. And so I have worked so hard to mock that and then go, that's not what I'm doing, and just put the words in their mouth and
right.
say, you can say no room at the end and push me off. You're busy too, but I do care and I'm here. So yeah, it's funny because sometimes, there's just no pleasing everyone.
That's by the way, I think that's ultimately that's right. As I have two children as well, just like you. Yes, there's no pleasing everybody. I've
No.
learned that lesson since they were toddlers.
Yep. As long as you sleep well at night, knowing you did all you could, we can always get incrementally better.
And you've had a really interesting career. One of the companies you worked for was Safelight Auto and Glass, and I really need to know: does the tune, the jingle, hum in your head at all? Does it come back to you? Safelight Repair.
Every single commercial, every single basketball and football game. Yep. And my children, we had the
oh,
little easy button that sings it.
oh no!
Mhm. Mhm. It's a brilliant jingle.
It is. It is. I can't get out. It's an earworm.
Yep.
I cannot
Yeah.
get out. I almost have to tune it away and hit
Brilliant.
my head against the wall a couple times to try to hope it falls out.
Yes. Yeah. No, great, great company, great product, great jingle. They deliver.
Good for that.
Yeah.
Good for them. Uh, One question I ask everybody, and is, who is your favorite fictional character?
So I don't know if I should be sad or happy to say this came to mind super fast. I
Okay.
it's Max from the wild where the wild things are.
Wow, what a great one. Nice. Murray Sendick, what makes Max your favorite character?
There's just always been some fascination for me with the detachment from like how he was seen and how he, wanted to be presented and the mischievous side, this fantastical environment behind the other door, the curiosity, just the mischief and the curiosity. I am definitely have a mischievous um, strain. It's part of my curiosity, buck status quo when productive and justified. But yeah, I love the book, I love the illustrations, and I've just really always loved the story. And so when you asked that, I all day I just Max came to mind.
What a great answer. I recall when I was in kindergarten, my mom had signed me up for some book of the month club, and every month I got a book. It was, you get mail. But I remember getting that book at 4 or 5 years old, and treasuring it and thinking that was the greatest one ever, because the pictures, the big monsters and his big hands up like this, and
Yes, yes. Whether it was the Newbery or the Caldecott, I remember in the library that it got the award, and it's
Mhm.
just I love that and Dr. Seuss, Oh, the Places You Will Go, like just two of my very favorite books.
Very cool. Well, April Willers, Chief Operating Officer at Claim Deck, thank you very much for joining us. This was a great conversation.
Thank you for having me. Really enjoyed it as well.
Folks, resilient leaders face challenging currents, and it's tough navigating. But with one tack or another, we can get there together. If you enjoyed today's podcast, please subscribe. Tell a friend about it. You can find us on our YouTube channel or our LinkedIn channel. You can also hear us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you get your media from. You can also find out more about us on my website at trenttheroux.com. I enjoy getting to talk with you today. We'll see you next time.